Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to what does Sri Ramakrishna mean by going into the black water? Samadhi, plunge into the black water. Um, so I don't believe he actually legitimately mean black water, but I think it's more along the lines of like again samadhi being I think in deep meditation I believe, um, and the black water is actually when you turn off everything, it's just blackness around you. And I guess what the water is probably supposed to represent is something enclosing you. Not to drown you, but more along the lines like to comfort you. And I'm guessing it's, I was going to say they could use a blanket instead. Plunge into the black blanket. But just something that encompasses you completely, I'm guessing. Plunge into the black water. That's my assumption on that. Although, again, it reminds me a little bit of the something I heard about a while back about this sensory deprivation rooms where the temperature in the room is the same body temperature. There's water in there. You're supposed to float. It has a lot of salt to make it super dense so that you float on top of it. It is also the same body temperature. The water is the same temperature as your body. So there's when you float on it, you're supposed to not feel any boundaries in a sense that you don't know where your body begins or ends. Also, it's so silent in there that you can that there's no echoes. There's no light. It's pure blackness. There's no smell, probably. I've never heard anyone say anything about smell in that one. And they say that it's so silent that you can hear, like, someone said that you can hear their blood going through their veins. So anyways, let's go and get started.
My name is Wali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum. My question goes to something that I read in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. There is a reference, getting back to the ocean, of going into the black water. And who would be there to report on it? Can you elucidate on that, please?
All right. So in those days, there was this idea that when you go into the deep ocean, nobody comes back. Kala Pani, they would go. And there were also, the colonial government would send people across that into jails for people who revolted against the colonial power. So nobody crosses the black waters. That was a kind of saying. Similarly, Sri Ramakrishna would use these as metaphors. When you plunge mentally, the mind, into that reality, and that can be, what do I mean by plunge? Didn't you just say, Swami, that we are that reality? Yes, you are that reality. But the mind which is investigating this can now be stilled in meditation. It's called samadhi, right? And then the mind is stilled, but not asleep. It's like being fully awake in deep sleep, if you can wrap your mind around that. Fall asleep, you're not aware of the external world, you're not aware of the physical body, you're not aware of the mind, you're not even aware of that I am sleeping. If you're aware of that, you're not sleeping. And in sleep, you're in deep sleep. But here you're awake, you're fully awake. The world is blanked out. The body and the senses and the mind is also blanked out. And yet you are endlessly aware. From an external perspective, you might see to be not aware of anything. Sri Ramakrishna goes into samadhi many times. So many people saw this. Not only that, he would become as still. The description always was, he becomes like a picture. As still as a picture. A doctor examined him. Heartbeat stopped. Breathing stopped. They touched the eyeball, no reflex. It's like being dead. Not only being unaware, actually being dead or in deep coma. And yet, when he was asked, were you unconscious at that time? No. Sri Ramakrishna's response was, does one meditating on consciousness become unconscious? So it's only consciousness, but no object to it. There's no object, no limited object which is, you're aware of a limited object. Alright. Now there are many of these states. They are studied in a system called yoga. It's not just one samadhi. Samadhis are of different grades and different types. Now the point being asked here is, so it is you are aware, and what is it like exactly? Well, two things. And that state, obviously you can't speak, because there is, from your perspective, there's no world, there's nobody to speak to, there's no body, there's no speech, there's not even a mind. Coming back from that state, arising from that state in the sense that the body mind starts functioning again, you are clearly aware of, you means the mind now is clearly aware of what happened there, but there is no way of expressing it at all. Only approximations can be there, and those approximations are basically the basis of all religion. The way the masters in different religions have pointed it out, and mystics who have realized it have pointed towards it, and many practices which will help you to reach that. Another example, he uses the salt doll who went to measure the ocean. If a salt doll goes to measure the ocean, first of all, measuring the ocean is impossible for the doll. Second, can it do so? The moment it enters the ocean, it becomes the ocean. It floats up into the ocean, becomes the ocean. There's no individual left who will come back and say that the ocean is like this. Even when in Jivan Mukta, the person actually comes back, in the sense, it seems to, from our perspective, that a person has come back. From that person's perspective, there's no more person anymore. And there is no way of describing that. There are ways of pointing it out, which can help others. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. Plunge into the black water. So I was kind of right, mostly right, I guess. Again, I kind of figured it was a metaphor, but at the same time, can be very much reality. Like the sensory deprivation room. The water's obviously not black, but because there's no light, it's black. But that is something I would love to experience, and it's something that's very easy to I guess kind of reach, in a sense of, how do I say? I guess the only thing in terms of getting to samadhi, just because at least there, hopefully, there's no external sound. There's no, if you go into the pool area, you can kind of lose your body. So it's there to kind of help you. And I would love if Swami here would go to one and just see what it's like. How would he describe the experience? Does it help with meditation? Is it, this would be great for beginners, I would assume. Again, like I said, it's soundproof. There's no echo. There's no, like, just the hum of I would say nature, but human nature. the buildings, there's always like an AC going on. There's some type of humming. The wind's blowing, leaves rustling, and there it's supposed to be dead silent. I guess the only thing that you might hear is your heartbeat, though. But that is and your breath, and maybe the blood flowing through your veins. But it's a cheat, I guess you could say, to help you get to perhaps that state. And something that you initially start off with, like training wheels, and then once you learn how to do some of the actions to get into samadhi, then you step out of it and try on your own. But hopefully people don't get addicted to it and think that's the only way, where they just give up on trying to do it on their own and they use that type of chamber. I mean, they can build their own, I guess, and do it, but I don't know. I do wonder if Swami would think that's okay. Like, imagine if that can help you get to samadhi, but it's not 100% of your own volition, because you're using the water and the soundproofness to kind of block out the sound and the feeling of your body, in a sense. Would that count? I'm not sure. But I guess it helps you become unaware of your body and helps you focus. I mean, I guess it's kind of like some people who set up little rooms, corners in their houses that's pretty quiet. I guess it would count, because it's kind of similar to that, where you kind of set up this place where you focus, and you have a focused meditation, and where there's mostly silence. I can say complete silence, but mostly silence. I guess so, yeah. So anyways, yeah, so I don't know, it was just a very interesting question from the dude. What does Sri Ramakrishna mean by going into the black water? And it's very interesting, a little bit of a history there about with Sri Ramakrishna during the colonization of India. That kind of sucks. No, it's like he talks about how it's a little bit of a prison, and no one goes into the black waters because you don't return. Wow, that's kind of terrible, but obviously I believe Sir Ramakrishna used more of a metaphor in terms of obviously when you blank out your mind, that it's like just pure blackness, and the water is mean to kind of engulf you and to comfort. I won't say comfort you, but it's this encompassing thing that's not going to make you drown. Blanket would have been the better terminology, maybe, because blanket's comfy. It makes you warm, and it doesn't prevent you from breathing too much. There's blanket's not completely solid. You can't inhale the blanket like you can with water, but I get like the metaphor for back in the day would have been, I think blanket and water would have been a good, because it's both of them. When you get into a water, it's going to surround you. A blanket, not necessarily. You have to kind of cover yourself with that. So I completely get the metaphor there. So that's my reaction to what does Ramakrishna mean by going to the black water. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.